The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Wednesday, the 20th day of March, 2024. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the EAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamal Hartman, and Teo Dill will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in his news break brought to you by, well, People's Pharmacy. It is hump day, like the middle of the traditional work week. Actually, since we had a show yesterday, then one live show today, and then live show tomorrow and no show Friday, it's the middle of our week as well. So how's everyone's week going? I mean, midway through, we're cheating this week because we only got three live shows this week. But how's everyone's week going? I must say, I have been lazy over the last week and I woke up feeling good. This is the first morning I actually felt like I'm getting used to the time change. So I think my body is finally adjusting. I don't know if this is old age or, I am catching Teo up, so it could be something like that. But I'm getting there, folks. I'm getting there. I'm almost adapted to what's it called, daylight saving time. I'm almost adapted to it. How's everybody else making out with daylight saving? I know Maya said she was struggling. Larry and his son Mason, they've been struggling. Anyone else been struggling out there with daylight saving time, or you all just smooth on in, just happy with it? Why he always got to throw me in there? Teo's talking about we're both very, very old, Jay. I don't know, man. You started life before me. You were an adult before me, regardless of age. Rosalind Famous says, morning from Peru. Peru. All right. What's it like down in Peru? Rosalind Famous. She goes all the fun places, huh? She's traveling. And when you have the job that she has, those are the kind of things that I don't know how to pronounce it. You know what I'm saying? That word. That's what she does, folks. So she is a linguist. You know what I mean? Teaches people how to speak. Yeah, that she'll spell it out for us, because your boy has a little trouble. If it's not dog, cat, he has a little trouble with some words. So yeah, that word, Teo. Yes, that word. Yeah, linguist. Yeah. I hope I pronounced it right. All right. Well, greetings, everyone. And thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome Keevon Miners on from Bermuda is Love. We're discussing the Right to Learn campaign. Everyone should have a right to education. So very interesting conversation coming up. The Daily Play is music today. And folks, I actually forgot to do the last week's giveaway. So what we're going to do on tomorrow's show, we'll give away for last week, and then we'll give away for this week. All right. So we'll give away two prizes. All right. Last week and this week. All right. So also don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right. Let's jump into today's discussion and conversation. Awesome day to you as well, Suzanne Ingham. So last week, folks, interesting legislation passed, and I'm just going to read from our friends over at the Royal Gazette. The title is Ride Sharing Comes to Bermuda, and a pilot ride sharing program has been approved while taxi fares have been increased for the first time in a decade. Wayne Furbert, the Minister of Transport, announced the fare increase and the initiative in the House of Assembly. The rate increase is 15% for most rides, short of the 20% that cabbies had been demanding. Now, here's where it gets interesting. A total of 150 rideshare permits have been authorized for use during a 1 year pilot. The Bermuda Taxi Owners and Operators Association has staged protests against government inaction in implementing changes demanded. Now, that's to do with the rates and so on. But the rideshare, this is going to be interesting. This is very interesting because for quite a while, Bermudians have been calling for rideshare in Bermuda. But I guess the question is this morning, the question of the morning is, what are your thoughts on the pilot ride sharing program that has been approved for Bermuda? It's a pilot, 150. I think I just said 150 rideshare permits have been authorized. I definitely need more information than this, so I'll probably have to reach out to the minister and ask them. I know people have concerns about who's going to, be in charge of the app and the like. But what are your thoughts on the pilot program? What are your thoughts on the pilot ride sharing program that has been approved for Bermuda? What are your thoughts? Like, are you happy? Are you excited? First off, actually, before we get there, do you support ride sharing in Bermuda? Do you support it? Yes or no? Do you support ride sharing in Bermuda? Yes or no? I think that would probably be the best question to ask first. Do you support ride sharing in Bermuda? Yes or no? Yes or no? Do you support it? Yes or no? Do you support ride sharing in Bermuda? Now, for those who don't know what ride sharing is things like Uber. I don't use Uber. You all know my bad experience with Uber. I use Lyft, which pretty much the same riders. So true story. I was at Connor's house on Friday, and he lives in Providence, Rhode Island, and I was ordered a Lyft to my sister's place, and she lives in Attleboro, North Attleboro in Massachusetts. So we were joking with Connor and his mom, and I said, yeah, I just hope this driver respects my wishes. So in your profile, you can have, your demands, like you don't want to be spoken to, like you want quiet time, like whatnot. But if you know me, I don't like talking in a car. Like if I'm driving, I'm quiet, which rubs a lot of people the wrong way because they're like, oh, he's just grumpy, doesn't want to talk. That's my quiet time in a car. So I have my notes, quiet time, don't talk to me, for the driver not to talk to me. So we were joking about it. Man, I got in this car, this guy talked the whole way to Massachusetts, telling me his life story. And you know what? And this true story, honestly, if nothing else, don't take away the grumpiness of me or my not wanting to speak, but take this. Every time that happens, right? Before I would get upset and be like, oh, this person's annoying, whatever. But when I went back to Bermuda to visit one time, I was at Fairmont, Southampton, met one of my good buddies up there, and we were at the bar. We were having some apps and drinks. And he wanted to catch up, let me know some things going on. And some guy, I think he was a Bermudian Portuguese guy, he was sitting next to us at the bar and just interrupted our convo and started talking. It's not the first time it's happened. Or last time. It happened. Gary Moreno and I were at breakfast last month, and literally our conversation got hijacked, and the person was there. And those things would annoy me before. But my boy said to me at Fairmont, Southampton that night, and this was a serious lesson of mine, right? He said, you know what? He just needed somebody to talk to. You never know what people are going through. And he shared something. He said, look, I remember when a friend of his said, look, when I was young, I had suicidal thoughts. And the thing that kept me from doing that is knowing I have people to talk to and how they would feel if I was no longer here. Why am I saying that? To bring it roundhouse. Although I love a quiet car and I would rather my rideshare driver not talk to me, me being that listening ear, me being that person for him to talk to and be responsive, yeah, you may say it's not my job, But that could have been the conversation that changed his fortunes. And so I was happy to engage. And I mean, it was a long convo. But again, my hope is that that conversation made him feel better to tell me about what's going on with his daughter and her boyfriend and the like. All of that to say, rideshare programs. Do you support ride sharing in Bermuda? Obviously, there's not going to be a ride as long from Providence to North Attleboro in Bermuda, but do you support them? Yes or no? Do you support them? Teodil says sort of. NTS says yes. Kenton Trot says at this present moment, no. Suzanne Ingham says this is the first I've heard of it. And this is why we're here for you, Suzanne, to have these conversations and bring it to your attention. All right. So, Kenton, I'm interested to know why no at this moment? And NTS, why yes? Why yes? Rick Olson says, in general, yes, but the implementation is very unfair to the taxi drivers. They deserve a raise for sure, and it is long overdue. It seems like the drivers are being bribed to accept the proposed rideshare. In my opinion, not enough details. That's how I feel, Rick Olson, based on what I've seen. And again, maybe this is me being lazy, not seeking more information, but I don't have enough information to know if it's actually a good idea. Do I believe Bermuda? Do I support rideshare in Bermuda? I think people need options. I think people need options. I do. I think I was late to the Uber Lyft game. I didn't start using it until like a year or later because I'm like that, right? But it changed the game. And like yellow cabs were so rude in New York. I was living in New York City at the time. And if you've ever caught a yellow cab, they would be on the phone the entire time. The cabs were dirty most of the time. Like it was just so, it wasn't a comfortable ride. And soon as they got this competition, right, they wanted to cry. No, provide a better service. Because remember, when the rideshare first started, it was less expensive. Now look at it. It's the same price almost. So it's about service and convenience now more than anything. And taxis in the US and most airports still have the advantage because most airports now you have to go into certain areas to get a ride share, right? You can't just go outside where the taxi stand is or whatnot. All right. Do you support ride sharing in Bermuda? And what are your thoughts on the pilot program, 1-year pilot program that the government has approved? What are your thoughts, audience? Let's have this conversation. So we've got Tony Bridgewater says, yes, she supports ride share in Bermuda. Kenton Trot says, there are just so many questions that need to be answered. I'm with you, Kenton. I'm with you. I do support rideshare, but I don't know exactly based on what I read from the Royal Gazette. Again, this could be me being lazy, but I just don't have enough information to know whether this is fair, whether it makes sense. And I think the number one question we have in Bermuda when things like this happens is who benefits. It's no secret that David Burt, the Premier of Bermuda, is an owner of Hitch, right? Which is the rideshare app in Bermuda. That's no secret. And so when you go to the, I don't need to go to the RG comments to understand why people think it may be unfair. This doesn't mean that he's going to be the sole, person taking revenue or income from it. But I think that's something that is of concern from some people, right? And maybe their concerns are just. I mean, I don't know. Nicole Hassel says yes, she supports the ride share in Bermuda. The cost of taking a taxi is so high. Well, remember, like rideshare in the US, Uber and Lyft were not that costly when they came out. Now it's pretty much almost the same, depending on time of day, right? But I think the convenience factor really helps them in not needing. You can do everything from your phone. Canton Trot says once more information is shared, he can make a more informed decision. Agreed, Canton. Agreed. Traveling Trotty says she supports rideshare. She says, yes, according to data from the chamber, there are about 164 full-time drivers. I believe there's an opportunity to diversify transportation options. I agree, Traveling Trotty. I absolutely agree with you. I think I'm all for more options, right? More options should give us more opportunities to, succeed in that space, right? So I'm all for more options. What are your thoughts, audience? What are your thoughts on the pilot ride sharing program that has been approved for Bermuda? What are your thoughts on it? And I'll just go back to the RG. If anyone's just tuning in, on the RG, I read this morning that a total of 150 rideshare permits have been authorized for use during a 1-year period. So it looks like Bermuda is finally going to have an official rideshare program. And those of you who don't know what rideshare is, it's pretty much like an Uber or a Lyft, right? Now, question out there as well. Has anyone not used a rideshare program ever? Like, yes or no? Have you used a rideshare program outside of Bermuda? Yes or no? I want to see something. Have you ever used a rideshare program? Yes or no? That's another question, because we're assuming that this is something that is going to benefit everyone. Now, a ride sharing program or hailing service is something that, people, for those who don't understand it, it's an app, right? It's an app-based program that matches passengers with a driver. So that's they can't be hailed on the street, right? So it's not like hitching a ride. Whereas a taxi, you can legally hitch a ride, like hail a taxi. You can't do that with a ride share. I think that's the best way to explain what a ride share is. All right. Do you support rideshare? Kathy Ann Painter said yes, she supports it. Oh, sorry, not yet. Sorry, I forgot the second question. Have you ever done a rideshare? Yes, says Kathy Ann Painter. Marquita Lee says yes. Mark Arthur C. Phillips says yes. Traveling Charlie says yes in many locations. Angeline Butler says yes. We've got yes. No, says Marcia Robin Patrice Bradshaw. Rachel Dill, yes. NTS, yes. Rick Olson says numerous times, very satisfied. All right, so Marcia, you're the only person who's never used a ride share. Okay, interesting. Sean Smith says, is there any restriction in place, like not being able to go to the airport? We're waiting details, Sean. We're awaiting details. All we know at this point right now, based on the information in the Royal Gazette, is that 150 permits were issued, I believe. Yeah, have been authorized, I should say. Charles H. Jefferson II says, I agree with Kenton, but why should we have to ask? The basic questions should be answered from jump, in my opinion. Well, Charles, you make too much sense sometimes. We've got to remember we're dealing with politics and politicians. They're not here to make sense. They're here to do what's politically expedient and give what is going to help them get elected the next time around. So I'm not being facetious, by the way. That's just how it works. But I think you're right, though. I mean, if only they thought like salespeople do, is let's answer the questions before people have objections. It's so much easier. It's so much less stress. But again, in politics. So yes, says Jamaica Smith, Manuela John, and Sean Smith, they have used rideshare programs. Suzanne Ingham says, yes, I give a coworker a ride every afternoon, rideshare, no charge either. I like that. Except Leon Swan says, thank you, JH, for explaining ridesharing, as I've never, ever heard of it before. Interesting. So you've never used Uber or Lyft before, Hedeline? No? Good morning to you, Anika De Shields. She says, good morning, TDH. Jackie Eve also, yes, she's used rideshare. I know Bermudians have been calling for rideshare in Bermuda for a long time, a very long time. I'll be honest, I do use it when I'm traveling for the most part. But I don't want to, how did I say this without sounding like a jackass? I do prefer a black car at this point because airports have made it so difficult. Like, you go to an airport now, you have to walk an extra half a mile just to get to the ride share part of an airport now. I know you all have experienced this, right? It's no longer just going outside and you can get in there, because it has to be more difficult for us. Something that was so convenient. Now, I understand flow of traffic and the like, but they've made it so difficult. Seriously. Most airports I've traveled to recently. Manuela John says, is rideshare the same as calling a taxi and they give you the name of the driver and car number? Rideshare is app based, so it's no call. It's all app based. It's basically you download the app, you put in your details as where you are. If you have your location on, it tracks where you are, and you just put where you're going. They give you options on it'll cost this much in a regular car, cost this much in an SUV or XL, whatever. You choose which one you want, and then you're matched with a driver. With a taxi, you're not, I mean, you can call that taxi number in Bermuda and they send a driver who's close. I had a very bad experience last year where one of my boys and we were waiting on a cab to go down to St. George's Cricket Club to set up for cop match. We couldn't get a cab. We literally waited an hour and couldn't get a cab. Now, you've never heard me badmouth cab drivers. I understand they're up against it, but I was not impressed. I've never had a problem getting a ride outside of Bermuda, but every time I'm in Bermuda, if I don't have something arranged, then I've had trouble. So I think rideshare solves that. Hadeline Swan says she's never done a rideshare program. Interesting. Misha Fabula says the name brand rideshare companies have a bad reputation, how they treat their workers. Absolutely, they do. Well, part of the conversation last week with the driver I had, the Lyft driver, he was actually, as he was talking about his daughter and family to me, he actually started talking about Lyft. He spoke about the company and how they treat their drivers. And one of the things I always do, because I have a 5-star rating, by the way, as a passenger. I love that you can rate the driver and they can rate you. We spoke about tipping. Apparently, again, I'm an excessive tipper. But I let them choose their tip, okay, 25%, because I understand what they're up against. Now, one of the things that I would love to do is tip cash, but I don't carry cash like that. But I understand that they are up against it. I mean, it's these companies have been known to take advantage. And that's why I think people have concerns regarding how rideshare would work in Bermuda. Shika Reyna says, at least with rideshare, a car is coming. You can also arrange a ride for someone else. Absolutely. I've done that, Shika. Rick Olson says the convenience is ordering your car from your hotel room and you keep walking straight from there to your rideshare. From the to you. I think he means there. Yes. Absolutely. It's convenient. Look, I'm excited for Bermuda. I'm excited for Bermuda and this rideshare. I really hope it works out. I hope it is everything people desire. But I'm going to tell you something, what I really hope this rideshare does. And feel me what I'm saying, folks. What I'm really hopeful for is that rideshare cuts down on the accidents and drunk driving on Bermuda's roads. That's my hope. My hope is that, we've heard people saying, well, they were out late and they couldn't find a cab. My hope is that rideshare gives us that opportunity so we can cut down on the amount of collisions on our roads and drunk drivers or drivers under the influence. That would be my hope beyond anything else. But again, humans. One last comment before we bring Teo Dillon for the news break. Ollie Cherry says, why doesn't Bermuda look at how rideshare companies have done to other countries' taxi industry similar to ours? I assume it would benefit the consumer, but not the taxis. Well, Ollie Cherry, I don't really feel sorry for taxis in the New York City. As I stated earlier, look, we can have this attitude that competition is a bad thing. Competition should make us want to improve. Rideshare hasn't done anything to the taxi industry. The taxi industry has done stuff to itself. For years, those New York cabs were dirty as crap. The drivers were arrogant, thinking that, they would always be here. They refused to improve service, right? If you ask me, rideshare coming along, I would have said, you know what? We've got to fix up. We've got to get better. But no, we cry. We make excuses. Why are they allowed? This is free market. Free market, right? And there are still things that are there to benefit taxi drivers. They're still allowed to be in the taxi stand right outside the arrivals hall at most airports. Alrighty, let's bring Teo Dillon for the news break. See what he thinks on this before he jumps in. Hey,
Hey,
take it easy.
Jay, how's it going? Now, this is a topic that is near and dear to not just my heart, but my day-to-day activity in our beautiful country. Because,
Mhm.
as you know, or actually, I'm not sure you still realize this, I am a committed pedestrian.
Oh, I figured you still were that person.
Yeah. I have deep anxiety about having control of thousands of pounds of metal, moving quickly. I don't want to hurt myself. And more than that, I don't want to hurt anybody else. So I remain a committed pedestrian. And with that said, I am probably, and if any driver is listening, they can affirm this immediately. I'm probably the most experienced taxi user in in the past generation of people that live in Bermuda. And what I can say is, broadly speaking, in my experience as a regular user of the service, most of the critiques of the service are disproportionate,
Mhm.
which is to say, if I get 100 rides over the course of, the first half of a year, say, or something like that, 98 of them will be perfect.
Mhm.
Like, it arrives at the time I expected, gets me to my destination when I needed to be there. And then those other two, something would have gone funky.
Mhm.
But with that kind of ratio, I don't know that it's reasonable to interpret it as being anything other than largely successful.
Mhm.
Now, that said, getting just having more options for people in the market, I think, is just broadly speaking always a good idea. Like, it's just better, more options, more opportunities. People can make money and people can refine service. But the one thing that I have always said set the current rideshare status quo ahead of what we see in the States and around the world, like Uber and Lyft and everything. And this is the one concern I've got based on Minister Ferbert's update about the 150 new permits. The threshold for participation in ride sharing as a service provider is lower than I prefer for what we get with taxis. Because if you're getting a ride share with somebody, all they got to put down is $1,000, and that's it, right? That person could be a creep, right?
Yeah.
That person could be dangerous because there's all sorts of stories up and down the US, the UK, France, Germany of these rideshare creeps that end up abusing their passengers, either emotionally or physically, all kinds of things.
Well, Taylor,
Because-
I think that goes to a lot of things. We don't have enough answers to really support it right now because number one, we just don't know what's the criteria. Like, what's the criteria? Do we know if they're going to have to do background checks? But Charles actually made a comment on this. He said, given that taxi drivers have spent a lot of money on their license and cars, I think the taxi owners should have a cut of profits. Also, taxis should have the first right of refusal of potential rights. I want to just say this on that is it would be highly unfair in a Bermuda context to allow someone with a private car to just pick up and not have to pay a license similar to what taxis have to pay.
Well, this is the thing. The proposal as described by Minister Ferbert is that these permits will come with a nominal fee of $1,000.
And that's unfair. That's crazy. And I think if you ask me, and back to Ali Cher's comment, I was just talking global, not Bermuda. But I would be on the picket line with the cab drivers if they are like that even goes through like that.
Yeah. Well, that's, I think, in an attempt to balance the fairness, that's why the new permits for the ride shares have relatively restricted options for use. So they're trying to offset it that way. Like, okay, the threshold for entry into the market is much lower, but you're not going to get access to the lion's share of the job opportunities. Now, I don't know if it goes far enough to balance it out. But then the difficulty is if you don't keep the threshold low enough, not enough people are going to take advantage of the opportunity, right? So it's a rock and a hard place type thing. So as ever, I'm glad I'm not responsible for any of this because it's complicated.
No, for sure. I don't think this is the last time we'll be having a conversation on this.
No.
Yeah. All righty, what you got in the news for us today, bro?
Well, starting off, it's a weird one that I'm surprised that this has not been a thing in local media prior to this point. Okay, so when you get to the airport, right? You see those signs about the maximum amount of cash you can legally carry out of the island.
Yeah, 10,000, right?
Right. Well, a New Orleans band leader has been stuck in Bermuda for nearly a year because he didn't see them signs. Now, his name is Thaddeus Ramsey, and last April, he took out $8,000 at a Chase Bank ATM in Louisiana just to travel to the island to perform in the Big Six brass band at the Bermuda Festival of the Performing Arts. Now, this story summarizes the issue as of just a few days ago.
Was stopped as he was leaving the island because he was carrying too much cash. Thaddeus says Bermudan authorities thought he was money laundering. He was released on bond but deemed a flight risk and hasn't been able to fly back home to New Orleans.
Well, I'm on bail. They confiscated my passport and say I wasn't be able to travel. No one seems to understand what's going on. Everyone says that the case should have been over with.
Interesting.
It's weird, right? Now, apparently, he's been living on the island for the better part of 10 months. And some kind folks in a particular church have let him basically stay at the back of the church. But he's just here. He's been here for like almost a year over this issue. Now, it is immediately, I think, plausible to everybody listening that a bureaucratic hiccup could, like, it's possible that he has been slow walked like this for this amount of time. That's possible. But why is this? The only reason I found out about this is because as I normally do before the casts, I Google Bermuda, and then go under the news tab and just see what stories come up referencing the island.
No Bermudian knew this before you just shared that. I guarantee you no Bermudian who's not involved in the case knew about that. That's insane.
Yeah. And what I wonder is the Bermudians who do know about it, how come they didn't say nothing? Because if this man has been genuinely held in this way because of some bureaucratic hiccup, I'm pretty sure he gets some community support. Like, yo, let this man go home. The investigation got to have been over with by now.
I mean, if this is the way we're trying to get the numbers up in Bermuda, I don't think
like taking passport.
I don't think it's going to work out well.
Yeah. No, that's the Andrew Tate style of
yeah, we don't do that Tate stuff.
Yeah, we don't do that. So anyway, that's all we know at this point. It seems like he's healthy and he's safe, which is good. But if any member of the audience knows anything else about this, please reach out to the Daily Hour on any of our social platforms, because we would like to know more about this.
Yeah.
I hit the dude up on Facebook. He didn't reply, but if he gets back to me, trust me, y'all will know as soon as I do.
All righty.
All right. Well, in other less confusing travel-related news, shout out to Bermuda Air for continuing to expand their flight roster to another city that many Bermudians need to get to every single week. The new airline celebrated their 1,000th flight by launching the first run of their new service to Baltimore. Bermuda Air founder and CEO Adam Scott shared, quote, "Our year-round service to Baltimore provides Bermuda residents with another convenient link to the U.S. East Coast for leisure, business, and very importantly, this is the big one, medical travel. It's also a great addition for inbound travelers from overseas."
All
now,
right.
Which is it's just cool. Like the more access we've got to these cities in particular, because if people will die if they can't get up to Johns Hopkins when they need to. So this is good news. In other good news, the Department of Workforce Development has just opened up this year's range of overseas scholarships for you to apply for. Minister of Economy and Labor Jason Hayward shared that from April 1st, 4 years ago, the DWD has helped about 150 Bermudians pursue post-secondary education through the contribution of more than $1.3 million in scholarship funding. And that just last year, 25 Bermudians were supported via $350,000 in education grants. If you're interested in applying, just go to bermudascholarships.com, get your application in before Wednesday, May 15th.
Yeah.
And
I just saw that information technology part there in cybersecurity. I'm like, yeah, we definitely need to invest in some cybersecurity.
Amongst other things. And this is something, whenever scholarships come up, I always want to emphasize this to any young person, any person that's listening.
Mhm.
There is so much money on the table to help you get to school.
Yeah.
So much on the table,
Yeah.
like millions and millions, and a big chunk of that money doesn't actually get dispersed every year.
Well,
And it's not
some of that from my sister this year. Let's go.
Hey, I like it. All right. In other good news, one of Bermuda's premier youth-led charitable orgs is giving the community a better understanding of how local government works, what it does, and how it impacts us all. Now, Bermuda is Love is hosting a civics lecture at Bermuda College, led by former BC senior econ lecturer Craig Simmons. The event starts this evening at 6:30, and it will cover the various aspects of government structures, political process, and the rights and responsibilities of Bermudian citizens, helping to create a more active and informed society. And we'll be learning more about this event and the other great work that Bermuda is Love is doing with Rep. Keevon Miners in just a few minutes. So make sure you don't miss that.
Can't go wrong with Bermuda's Love and Craig Simmons, folks. So check that out, please.
For sure. Now, finally, this story hopefully will focus your mind. Creepers all across the UK, including Bermudian creepers who've recently moved over there, and I'm pretty sure you could think of a couple. They should be shaking in their boots since the first ever convicted cyber flasher has been sentenced to more than a year in jail for the crime of sending unsolicited them pics with the eggplant emoji. You know what I'm talking about? Now, 39-year-old Nicholas Hawks received a 66-week sentence for sending unsolicited photos of his genitals to a 15-year-old girl and an older woman last month.
Print screened this photo and reported it to the police the very next day. And because a month before that, in January of this year, new laws were put in place making this offence now a crime, it meant that by the Monday he was in court and he pleaded guilty to 2 offences. He pleaded guilty to sending photos of his genitalia to cause alarm or distress or humiliation.
My goodness.
Now, this, I think, is a marvelous indication that the legal system is starting to catch up with the information age, because there's entirely too many people, most of them dudes, that are comfortable sending them pics just because they think somebody's profile photo is cute. It is gross, it is offensive, and in the UK, at least, it is illegal now. You can go jail for this. So
Does Bermuda not have a law for that?
No, I don't believe so. We have revenge porn law that's right. So if you share pictures of a former intimate partner in any way, you can get hemmed up for that. But for this, I don't know that, and I'm be grateful to be educated about this, but I don't believe that there's any legal prohibition on its face for sending this kind of material to people.
All right. Got on your MPs, folks. What's the weather looking like, Tay?
Mainly settled for the latter half of this week, largely due to a big chunk of high pressure planting its feet in our airspace. There is one expected exception, though. A weak cold front should show up sometime tomorrow night, which will dump a few showers on the island. Not tank rain, but you'll need your raincoat.
All righty, Teo. Today, days of the year, is International Day of Happiness. Audience, what makes you happy? What's the one thing that makes you happy? Happy International Day of Happiness. Teo, what makes you happy?
Well, my children. That's the first thing that pops into my head. My children, when they are laughing. Mm-hmm. At that moment, I feel like I'm on top of the world. And, narrowly behind that is when my wife is feeling that way. But beyond that, just being useful and helpful. Like, those are the things that make me feel happy. Mm-hmm. Just, trying to earning my keep as a member of our community and our species. Those are the things that make me happy. Indeed.
What makes you happy, audience? Happy International Day of Happiness. Mark Arthur C. Phillips says Arsenal FC being on top of the table. Yeah. About how long they remain there, happiness. I think family, friends, and community. What makes me happy is knowing that the work I do as a normal citizen of this world brings smiles to their faces. Not just smiles, but they feel the benefits, and that's why they're smiling. So I think my happiness, internal happiness, what brings me internal happiness is knowing that how I live isn't in vain, you know. For the
I'm in a
people.
similar space.
Yeah. But audience, I guess all audience isn't a happy group of people. Folks,
Well, I have one other addition. Now, this is much less like serious, but it's, if I'm honest, it's close to the other things I mentioned. Being alive at a moment in global history when comic book movie trailers look like I always wish they would in my head when I was a kid. Like bro, like I'm telling you, when the new Deadpool trailer came out, man, I nearly had tears coming to my eyes. Like it was, I can't believe I'm alive to see this.
No, and I'm literally picturing you when we were packing groceries at Supermarket. Literally, we had a bench down there back in the day reading his comic books. Like, dude, you just sent me back to like the mid-90s. Like,
hey man, that's a good place to be, bro. It's a good place to be.
They talk about the radio station. Chat you later, bro. Have a good
All right, man. Take care, man. Thanks, y'all.
All right, tell you deal, folks. If you appreciated the conversation so far this morning, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share this conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. And we've got some more. We ask people, it's International Day of Happiness. What makes you happy? Sean Smith says, helping people. Farrah Palacio says, my meditative practice and personal spiritual work and books, reading books makes me very happy. Adeline Swan says, getting on Bruce's nerves and seeing my loved ones happy. Suzanne Ingham says, waking up each morning, my grands, my garden. Karen Simmons says, the relationships I have in my life, enjoying a great meal makes me happy. I'm glad you all are happy. Do not go anywhere. We're going to make you even more happier with a good community conversation coming up after this break with Bermuda is Love's Keevon Minus. Stick with us. Again, give us a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, and your loved ones.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's, I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's.
All righty, welcome back to the big show. I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical Wells, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. Please don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Again, if you haven't already, make sure you give us a love, a like, wherever you're tuned in from. Make sure you repost it, share it with your friends, your family, your colleagues. We are about to welcome our guest for the day, Bermuda is Love's Keevon Minus. Let's give him a warm TDH welcome. Not that one, sorry. We're not laughing at you. All right, welcome. Do us a favor, just bring your computer down and make sure you look just like me. All right. We don't want to just see your face. All right. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. For having me.
No, thanks for coming. And Bermuda is Love, as Teo just mentioned, you guys are doing a lot of great work. Conversation coming up with Mr. Craig Simmons. But you always got a campaign going on, an unnecessary campaign. Before we get into that, just tell the audience a bit about yourself and your involvement with Bermuda is Love.
All right. Well, hi, morning, everybody. I'm 25 years old. I went to Work Academy. I have a bachelor's degree in sports management and a master's degree in enterprise management. And my involvement with Bermuda is Love. Well, actually, sorry. I also do some work as an electrician. And my involvement with Bermuda is Love, it's very recent. I'm one of the newer members. and I just go to all the events, help out backstage. I also I have more free time, and so I try to do things when others can't, and so just to help support everyone where it's needed.
Indeed. And, I just spoke about happiness, what brings me happiness. Based on all you just do, you just put me to shame because you have this bachelor's degree, this master's degree, and you even do electrical work. My father's an electrician. He's probably like, look at my boy, can't even pull a wire. But no, that's awesome to hear that you've, despite your formal education, you remain handy, but also find a way to give back to people. And it seems like you're a happy individual. Let's get into the Right to Learn campaign. Just tell the audience what's it all about.
So our Right to Learn campaign is sort of just everyone has the right to learn. Everyone should have the access to learn because there's more than just academia. For example, this beginning of this month, we had a skill swap where I myself taught people how to make candles. Someone taught us how to crochet. Someone taught us how to water paint. Someone taught us how to do origami. And then someone else also explained the climate impact that we all have on the earth.
All righty. Seems like a very important campaign that I think the community definitely should get behind. But outside of my thoughts, why is a campaign like this necessary for Bermuda and Bermudians?
I think it's necessary because, like I said before, it's more than just academia. So everyone being educated in, for example, social, economic, and environmental issues that we face on the island. For example, fast fashion, trash pickups that we do. It's just everyone should just have the access to it because B.B. King said that the beautiful thing about learning is that no one can take it away from you. And so if everyone has that, then, there's always going to be that one thing that we all have and no one can take it from us.
I like how you said it's more than just academia as well, right? Most people think of it of just academia, and not everyone's academically inclined, but there's so much more to education. So we appreciate it. Audience, if you have any questions or comments for Keevon about Bermuda's Love's Right to Learn campaign, feel free to shoot over. What do you hope some of the takeaways are from this campaign? Because again, you all have been very instrumental in having some, taking the conversation to the community a bit more. What do you hope some of the takeaways are from this? Like people walk away with.
Well, something that I hope people take away, what we're trying to do is just sort of collaborate and bring everyone together. We hope that if someone wants to teach something for free for the public to learn, we'd be more than happy to sort of set that up so that other people can learn, and those who want to come together and teach other people things that they feel people should know or people might want to know, then, just coming together, realizing that we all have the right to an education and we all should be able to help each other in ways that, we would also like to be helped, loving each other.
Indeed. And again, there's so many things. Now, I'm gonna put a tough one on you. It might be a tough one.
Okay.
I've been one who has fought against the idea of college education. And Teo just mentioned in his news report about scholarships. I would like to see people be able to receive business grants as easy as we receive scholarships. The reason for is we see so many people going in debt for degrees that choose careers that the careers just are not as rewarding. What is the, for those who may not be academically inclined, like myself, for instance, how does this benefit them in the short and long term, would you say?
Well, so I know way back in the day, there used to be a trades sort of high school where you learn electrical, plumbing, carpentry, etc. We're still sort of working on the idea, but something that Bermuda's Love would like to sort of bring back is that sort of trades aspect of education. And so, that's a different form of education than your standard academia. Like how you said, people go into debt to get their degrees. But with trade school, I know with your apprenticeships, you'll be making money, and it won't necessarily be as big of a financial burden that could happen in the long run. And so, yeah, there's there's just it's just so much you can learn. You know, people can learn how to. Okay, I'm blanking right now. Apologies, but like I said before, it's just there's more than academia to life. For example, people can learn to garden. People can then teach others how to garden, and so that's just another form of collaboration where people can just come together and learn different things and how to sort of better themselves.
I definitely think the right to learn is an interesting one. Everyone deserves a right to education. It's an interesting one to take up. Why? I didn't. Why is this a concern? Though, like, who? I guess my question is, who's being denied the right to learn?
So with Bermuda, everyone has the right to public education up until they're 18. But we would also like to take that a step further. We'd like people to sort of, I guess our focus would be a free education as well. You know, possibly in some way or form, we'd like to people, in order to get a higher education, allow it to be free. Because as Teo mentioned scholarships earlier, we're also having a scholarship. It's due on the 31st of May. And 2 winners will be awarded $5,000 awarded to their education. And if anyone would like more information, you can find us on social media at Bermuda is Love or BDA is Love. And that's where you can find more information about the scholarship and how to apply.
Interesting. And congratulations on offering a scholarship. And they can be majoring in anything?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. Is there a GPA requirement? You know?
No. There are requirements that we have, but it's not necessarily specific to how you are doing academically.
Okay.
Yeah. But other people can read more on that.
They used to rule me out of scholarships when they start talking about 3.5 and stuff. You know, I mean,
yeah.
Some of us were struggling to hit 3.0. Raquel is asking, who pays for the free education for adults? Like you did mention free education.
Yeah.
What do you guys have a strategy or a plan to ensure that it can be covered?
Yeah. So like I mentioned before with collaborations, that's sort of where we would collab with people who are willing to donate to our organization or see that they also agree with the right to a free education. Then that would be sort of worked out the logistics and everything with those who wish to collaborate with us or sponsor us or donate in that form of, you know, financial assistance.
All righty. We've got Kenton Trott. He's just showing some love. Bermuda's love is awesome. Thanks for taking everything your team does for this community. Traveling Trotty mentioned in the trade, she says Bermuda College offers all of the trades along with financial aid opportunities. Are you guys, you mentioned collaboration. Is Bermuda's Love's Right to Learn campaign working with Bermuda College or any higher, education opportunities with any institutions?
So yes, we are working with, currently we're working with Long Tail Learning. Well, that's all that I know of, but I know we have that sort of relationship with Bermuda College where they allow us to host our discussions there, but I'm sure they can also be worked out later on how we can sort of further that relationship to help us achieve our goal.
All right. And what can a community do? Like what can those interested in learning more or those interested in being a part of Bermuda's Love's efforts, community efforts, what can they do to get involved in this or any of your campaigns?
Just show up, really. That's all you can really do. Just show up, help out. Like I've mentioned before, we have our trash pickups. We have a community garden. And also actually later this month on Tuesday, the 26th at 6:30 at Victor Scott, we have a teachers panel discussion where we have selected some teachers. Just also, I believe that's also partnered with Bermuda Youth Connect. And so we have teachers coming and just, discussing about our right to education and our right to learn.
All righty, Keevon, thank you so much for joining us and this information. That scholarship application is due by May 31st, you said?
31st, yes.
31st. All right, 5,000 apiece?
Yeah, for 2 people, yeah.
For 2 people, up to $10,000 in scholarships, 2 scholarships from Bermuda is Love. Let me make sure I hit my sister up after the show, make sure she gets the application in. Thank you.
Yeah.
So can they go to learn more information about the scholarships?
So we have it posted on our Instagram, I believe, also our Twitter,
Okay.
Facebook, and then bermudaislove@gmail.com. If you have any further questions, feel free to send them a message.
All right, Keevon, thank you so much for sharing this information, having this conversation, and all
Thank
the
you for
best
having me.
you all with the Right to Learn campaign.
Thank you.
All right, Keevon Miners, folks, if you appreciate the conversation, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Also, when we come back, somebody's going to be eligible for this week's prize if you get the answer correct. All right, it's music today, daily play coming up, but make sure you give us a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. We will take a quick break, come back, and wrap it up.
Hi there, welcome to Medical House. We're located at number 6 Bakery Lane. I can't wait to show you all of the great stuff that we carry. Come on inside, let's see. Let's kick it off in the footwear department. When it comes to footwear, we carry functional, comfortable, orthopedic, and waterproof shoes. We have construction shoes, golf shoes, shoes for walking, shoes for boating. We even have shoes for pickleball. We have shoes for everyone. With brands by Skechers, Atrax, Propay, Easy Street, Nursemates, Clogs, Avenger, Cherokee, Cat, Frog Talks, and DeWalt. The list goes on. Take a look at our workwear for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places, and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Pair with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear. You can't go wrong. Long days, long shifts, you no longer have to endure comfortable underwear. Designed by nurses, we now offer premium undergarments by Swoop that are unique, fun, comfortable, and functional. The only underwear you'll ever want to wear. Who says high-quality functional products can't be stylish and comfortable at the same time? Speaking of stylish, we also have top-quality running, walking, and workout apparel by Skechers in a variety of sizes for men and women. Cool, breathable, and dry. With our wide selection of Skechers footwear, you'll look great before, during, and after your workout. As you can see, Medical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
You'll be surprised at everything we have to offer at our huge new retail and wholesale location on Bakery Lane.
All righty, welcome back. Thanks again to Keevon Miners from Bermuda is Love for joining us this morning. Really appreciate the information, the conversation. Thanks again to the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring we can have these conversations with you on a regular basis. Folks, before we do the daily play, do us a favor. It costs you nothing. Just give us a love, a like. Just hit the like button, the love button, repost button, right? And just hit share to share it with your friends, your family, your colleagues. It costs you nothing to do that. I read a post the other day. It said, you don't always have to have money to support your friends in business. Sometimes all you have to do is share their business with somebody else. That's how we do it as a community. So feel free to do that. This is your daily talk show. It is time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, it's music today. It's music today. First person who gets this answer correctly will be eligible for this week's prize and will go in a draw for tomorrow. All right, here we go. What one-hit wonder released the 1997 hit song Barbie Girl? This is not Spice Girls, but this was funny. The song was Barbie Girl, Anika the Shields, and Jonah Cole was the first one to show up on my screen, but everyone else got it correctly and saying Aqua. So Jonah, you will get entered. Stacey Ann Brown also got it Aqua. Clinton Painter said Aqua, and Ray Kai said Aqua. So yeah, Jonah, you will get entered for this week's prize. She said Spice Girls. Nah, bro. It's you know what? Truth be told, and this is real true. The only platform where the show isn't delayed is on thedailyhour.com, but there's different delays on each platform. So on YouTube, it may be delayed 10 seconds. On Facebook, it may be delayed at 5. On Twitter, it may be delayed 15. So there's a delay. That's what it comes down to. But on the website, there's actually no delay on thedailyhour.com. That's how you can win the prize. Answer quickly on the website. And Jonah Cole says, not a one-hit wonder, in my opinion, a few other hits for sure. Well, Jonah, I'm not going to argue with you. I was just reading from the History Channel, man. Yep, seriously, History Channel. They gave it to me. So I'm not going to disagree with you, though, man. I got you. Yeah, you gotta win in you, bro. You gotta win in you, Ray Kai. Look, let's wrap it up, though. I just want to say this on rideshare. I think Bermuda could benefit from more options. I believe in free market. I've never had a bad thing to say about cab drivers. Even my experience last year, I would not go public and badmouth cab drivers. My best friend's a cab driver, uncle. Like, it's just, it's in the family. And I know how hard they work. I know how hard others work. Business is not fair, as someone said earlier. I think, there are people who say it all the time. Okay, these permits for the pilot program are $1,000. Well, maybe it's $1,000 more for cab drivers if they get first right of refusal. Are taxi permits should taxis still be paying that much for permits? The answer is likely no. The answer is likely no, knowing how hard it is for a cab to make its money back, right? This is not the 90s or the 80s. I think rideshare is a good thing for Bermuda. I do. But it has to be done right. But there are so many questions. Who's it benefit? Is it privately owned or is it government run? Keep in mind, most rideshare companies I know of are privately owned. But there's legislation that they have to follow. I'm hopeful that it will improve so many things, but like I said earlier, my focus is hoping that it reduces collisions on the roads and people who drive under the influence. Because we've heard people say it's pretty hard to find a cab late nights. Hopefully, there will be something in legislation where they too, like cab drivers, would have to make themselves available during certain periods. That's what I think would improve things. All right, folks. I've got some daily inspiration for you. I like this one. This very straight to the point. Quote, don't stay in bed unless you can make money in bed. End quote. George Burns. Gotta wake up, get up, and live today. Folks, don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. I'm Jamel Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. I am Izzo. Peace.